I've been trying to record this intro a couple of times already, but these two guys, they keep chatting away at one another, man. They keep distracting me. Okay, so what I've got for you today is a best of 5 series of top-level StarCraft 2, where in game number 1, we find ourselves on Babylon. Now, spawning here in the top left-hand corner of the map, playing with the blue Terran SCVs, we have Maru, and his opponent in the opposite corner, we're looking at ByuN's main command center. I think it's fair to say that these two are currently the number 1 and the number 2 Terran players on the planet. So when it comes to high-level TVT, it really doesn't get any better than these two facing off against each other. Looks like I did it, guys. Looks like I did it. I recorded the intro to this particular video. Just amazing. And it only took me literally 15 minutes. I tried every version of an intro. At some point, I even tried looking away from my monitor just to not get distracted by... Anyways. This particular series is the grand finals of the first weekly event of the new Korean StarCraft League. So, as you may be aware, recently, I made a dedicated video about this. Recently, Blizzard decided to take another step back when it came to StarCraft 2, or when it comes to StarCraft 2. And it essentially means that, especially over in Korea, the prize pool for weekly tournaments and for premier tournaments, it's not as impressive as it once was. Especially the GSL, which has been the premier StarCraft tournament for, well, basically the last 13 years, they had to reduce their prize pool by about 80%, which is a very significant reduction. And because of that, there's a very good chance that it's just simply not feasible anymore for a lot of these pro gamers to actually make a living out of playing StarCraft 2. Now, luckily, we still have a very active community, and it turns out that the community decided to put money together themselves. This is a new weekly cup that is organized by a bunch of StarCraft content creators. So if you are interested in checking out their Patreon page, I'll go ahead and leave a link to it down below in the description of this video. So I think their original goal was like 500 bucks for a weekly tournament that takes place between Korean pro gamers only. But they've already overshot their original estimations on Patreon, which is pretty amazing. So, yeah, definitely go check it out if you want to support the Korean StarCraft 2 scene yourself as well. Either way, when it comes to the signups for this very first weekly event, so this particular series was played last week, so the second version of the second iteration, I guess, of the Korean StarCraft League is taking place this week. For the very first week, so last week, we had players like Classic, Creator, Hero, ByuN, Cure, Gumiho, Innovation, Maru, and Dark all signing up, which is a pretty fantastic sign, especially someone like Maru. He generally doesn't really sign up for any weekly cups. I don't really know if we're gonna get used to this sort of thing. I mean, we all know that ByuN plays in practically everything, but Maru, he generally doesn't sign up for anything that doesn't have at least like $10,000 as far as prize money goes, but he decided to, yeah, sign up for this particular event, and that is pretty exciting to see. Maru right now also sees that medevac is leaving. Yeah, ByuN decides to drop off the Reaper here to try and, well, go to town on his opponent's Reaper as well, because it's gonna be a little bit annoying. The mule didn't really have a lot of life remaining anyways. Probably not the best unit to target fire right there for Maru, as he does end up losing that Reaper. Just simply spotting the medevac though, apparently was all he really needed to do, because ByuN decides to go back home. Man, these guys... yeah, they're just going. They're just going. I can't read Korean. Maybe somebody in the comment section can let us know roughly what they're talking about. Most of the Korean guys, even though they've been... facing for millions of dollars, right? They've been facing off against each other in tournaments for a long time. They are actually good friends. Especially the Koreans. Like, whenever you go to a StarCraft event, the, you know, the English-speaking crowd is obviously a little bit bigger. There's more Korean, or there's less Korean pro gamers than there are international pro gamers, I suppose. So, most of the Koreans, they hang out with one another is what I'm getting at. They usually have like a little group of the Koreans just hanging out together, and they all seem to be getting along very, very well. And over the years, of course, since they've met at so many tournaments and they've practiced, of course, online against one another as well, many of them, despite being competitors, have become very good friends. Alrighty, now I think this is going to be an interesting matchup here, because ByuN usually is a rather aggressive player. Maru is usually a very defensive player, so this could also be about a 2-hour-long series, which I hope won't be the case, because I gotta start my stream in about 2 hours from now. But generally speaking, I think we should be okay. Usually at an offline event for a best of 5 series, they calculate about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes or so. That includes some downtime as well, usually. But at offline events, there's some ad breaks and whatnot in between the games. Ooh, look at that guy. I have never noticed that before. That's awesome. Anyways, I'm assuming we're gonna have some time, but there's no denying, though, that TVT can be a very slow and methodical matchup because, as I've said many times already, in Terran versus Terran, even when you're ahead, winning is not as obvious. In a lot of the other matchups, what you do is you grab your entire army and you attack move towards the other side of the map. In TVT, you will run all of your units to their death against, well, a bunch of siege tanks. Ravens are commonly used in this matchup. They did recently go through a couple of changes. Nice control right there by ByuN. Not allowing this to do any damage. Right now, this Raven, though, yeah, they have no energy anymore, the ones in red. So at the very least, the one in blue is going to be able to throw up a few of these auto turrets. And you know what? It's actually dealing a pretty decent amount of damage as well. I don't think this was supposed to do, yeah, 6 SCV kills. That is quite ridiculous. It might be worth going over the Raven abilities. I know I do this quite frequently in TVT, but I get questions about spellcasters all the time. I mean, Marines are pretty obvious, Siege Tanks are pretty obvious, Vikings are pretty obvious, Medivacs are pretty obvious, but what in the world do Ravens do? So since we have a little bit of a lull in the game here, let me go over the Raven abilities real quick. The first one you just saw is called the Auto Turret. It's a little turret, it's timed life, and it gets thrown on the ground, deals a ton of damage if you're not careful. So Maru has got one of those Ravens still in the bottom right hand corner. It's only got a little bit of health remaining, but it's just waiting right now to accumulate energy, so it can occasionally go in here, drop a couple of those auto turrets, and then hide in the back once again. Now if it's up to the Cyclone, nothing's gonna happen, but yeah, there's a good chance that this Raven will try and drop another auto turret here momentarily. Okay, that's exactly what he's trying to do right now. Instead of going for the one in the main base, he's gonna go for the one over here in the natural. They have 2 more abilities that are incredibly helpful, especially in the TVT matchup. They have an ability called the Interference Matrix that temporarily shuts down other units. So this is most commonly used on siege tanks. Pushing into somebody who's sieged up can be very difficult, but if you can disable a few of your opponent's tanks just for a couple of seconds, that can obviously help you out quite a bit. And then lastly, they have an ability that is called the Anti-Armor Missile. The Anti-Armor Missile essentially applies a debuff to units that are affected by it. It's usually in an area of effect, and units, well, with the Anti-Armor debuff on them, they will have less armor and therefore take more damage. You have to be a little bit careful though, because Anti-Armor can also be accidentally thrown on your own units, so that can be a bit of a disaster. But usually, at least at this level of play, that is not something we're going to see. Okay, so both players in game number 1 here, mostly just testing the waters, right? We haven't really had anybody open up specifically for aggression. Both players just happily macroing up. You can see the, even though they've taken some different roads, they have arrived at a very similar mid game here so far. So the upgrades, I guess, are slightly in favor of Maru, and I would say overall this is slightly better right here for the player in blue, but it's certainly very, very close, and this will all come down to the engagements. Now ByuN, he likes being aggressive. There's the Interference Matrix, by the way. Yeah, okay, that siege tank got absolutely demolished. ByuN is now sieged up here at the bottom of the opponent's ramp. He's gonna start working on the rocks. Once those rocks go down, the Marines can start thinking about going towards the high ground a little bit easier. There are still a few of those Ravens available, and there we go, actually. ByuN disables 2 of his opponent's tanks. He does now shuffle some of his tanks forward as well, but he needs to be very cautious. Excellent movement here, though, by the Terran player in blue as well, making the best of a very difficult scenario. Yeah, I don't think he can really get much done, but ByuN does not hesitate as he goes straight into the opponent's main base. Maru was thinking about going for a full-on counterattack, and those units in blue were already marching across the map, but he's forced to now return back home as, well, he needs to address this, this drop. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, so this is what Maru does best. Maru is incredibly good when it comes to defending. Much easier said than done. It's super easy to accidentally lose the game when you're trying to defend. The SCVs right now pulled away from their mineral lines as well, just to soak up a couple of those siege tank hits. A few interference matrices also helping out. Some separate micro coming out of those Vikings as well. I think overall that was pretty good for Maru, but there's no denying he just lost 20 SCVs. If it's up to those Marines, a couple more will end up going down, although I don't think this medevac plane is going to go back home. Yeah. Good amount of damage though. Nice targeting there as well by Micro Jackson. Oh, this is turning out quite good right here for ByuN. Okay, so one problem though you have right now here as ByuN is the fact that there's already a 4th command center done right here for Maru. He started up his own as well, but that is still gonna be a little while from finishing. So over time, Maru's army should grow a little bit bigger. Okay, here we go once again. Oh my god, very aggressive push. He actually decides to go straight into that choke point. ByuN, that is. Maru, that is as well, actually. Both players decide to fight in a very questionable position, but I do think that works out really well for Maru. Both players end up losing a ton of SCVs, because in the meantime, there's also a medevac drop inside of the blue player's natural. ByuN dealing as much damage as he can over here. And I think this is an excellent example of what we can expect in a best of 5 series between these two. These guys are incredibly close in skill level. And while I would say Maru is a little bit better defensively than ByuN, ByuN is a little bit better offensively than Maru. So I think we should have a very interesting series on our hand. The game number 1 is already looking incredibly close. Okay, he snipes down the starport. Another siege tank does pop out of the factory, but ByuN, with very high APM, is paying attention to everything, it seems. And after defending that push from Maru at home, it's ByuN who obtains the victory. Game number 2. We find ourselves on Ancient Cistern. Once again, the players were chatting back and forth for a little while there. I guess they couldn't, right? And, well, at least the second half of that previous match. Turns out when you have to play a game of StarCraft 2, talking at the same time can be a little bit tricky. Either way, we've got a little bit of build order deviation. So Maru decides to go for a faster command center this time around, and with that, a later factory. Whereas ByuN decides to go for a second gas a little bit quicker, and therefore, well, more gas earlier on, and therefore a quicker factory and a delayed command center. This does mean that ByuN is gonna have to be the aggressor here. But I don't think he really minds that. No, I don't think he really minds that at all. Bunker is coming up at the front. That is specifically to make sure that Maru, well, can try and at the very least stay somewhat safe, but you gotta be very careful. The double gas opener is very popular these days. It essentially allows you to make more units earlier on, higher tech units as well, and, well, just a group of Hellions and a bunch of Reapers early on can deal a stupid amount of damage. In this particular case, though, we have a straight tech lab over here for ByuN that factory, so not going for the double Hellion. Are we gonna continue the Reaper production right here when this reactor finishes up? Let me see. No. He decides to go for a Cyclone, so he can still go quite aggressive now. He decides to go for the Marines right now inside of that barracks. So we're gonna see a relatively passive approach right here out of ByuN, which in the end I think works out really nicely here for Maru. As you can see, what ByuN has spotted so far on the mini-map, it's a little bit more obvious, I guess, on the mini-map than it is on the actual map, but he's just been looking for some proxies. So building your barracks on the other side of the map is very popular in this matchup as well. Both of these players like doing it. Wouldn't be surprised if we're going to be seeing some of that moving forward, but at least for now, nothing all too crazy. Now, of course, whenever a game is passive, right, like the start that we see right over here, it favors the player who decided to go for the faster economy. Maru simply has more workers out for longer, and therefore he will have more income. Especially the mules are amazing. Yeah, this small little advantage is only a couple hundred minerals a minute, but it can be built up very, very rapidly. Maru, while he's a little bit later on the tech here initially, he does have faster ravens, which once again will be incredibly helpful. I feel like these guys need to invite each other for like tea or something, man. Just have some dinner together, talk it out then. They're just continuously chatting. You know, I tried learning Korean at some point, and I got, you know, to the point where I understood the alphabet pretty well. Korean alphabet is actually very easy to learn. It's just that, even though I know a couple of languages, any of the Asian languages are so far from anything that I know that it's gonna take me a very long time to become half decent at it, and I kind of gave up after, I think, about a month or two. I was spending like 20 minutes or so a day. It would be really fun if I could read Korean at the very least and translate it for you, but maybe at some point I'll go back. But for now, I'll just rely on guys in the comment section instead. Just the general gist of the conversation would be kind of fun, I guess. Usually though, I always made the assumption, right, that they would be talking about the game, or maybe they'd be trash talking each other a little bit. Usually they just seem to be talking about completely unrelated things. Completely unrelated stuff. Something that's not even remotely relevant. Anyhow, look at this guy, driving backwards. That's when you know you're dealing with a badass Cyclone. It is going to be ByuN who will try and be aggressive here. He does have a couple of Ravens up in the air. They do have a decent amount of energy as well, so disabling that tank would be amazing. Auto turrets, though, are also not to be underestimated in fights like this. Scanning the main base reveals right now what, well, is going to be coming up soon, but I don't know if Maru realized at this point that he is just about to be attacked. Yeah, he's got his third command center done, as he writes the number 3 as well. Yep, now suddenly, his gas is under attack. How in the world are you going to break this, Maru? I mean, obviously, that's only the gas that's in a little bit of trouble here, but you gotta be careful. Ravens, are we gonna drop the auto turrets over here? Nah, I think we're gonna try and head on over towards the main base instead. Maybe forcing some of that army in blue to go into the main base too. We could try and commit over here. The siege tanks... Don't know where the siege tanks are going. For some reason, they decided to drive all the way around. Cyclone got disabled there to make sure that the Ravens could get out. Oh, they decided to go all the way over there. So this is basically the Korean equivalent of LOL, okay? This is them laughing. So I think they're just having fun here. He's the gas hunter, man. He doesn't like the gas. Okay. Well, since Maru has had a little bit of time right now, yeah, this is apparently the moment where he decides to commit. He manages to disable all of those tanks in red. And that now actually allows him to clean this up very easily. My god, okay. This is a classic example of ByuN overstaying his welcome. ByuN was so focused on shutting down one gas geyser that, well, he also, I guess, threw up a bunch of auto turrets, which is real nice. Don't get me wrong, he ended up killing quite a few SCVs there. It's just that he didn't have enough energy right there to actually prevent his army from, well, getting absolutely destroyed. Another badass Cyclone over here. What's up with the Cyclones today? They're just driving backwards. Cool guys don't look at explosions, I suppose. Anyhow, what exactly is there available right now for ByuN to defend? Well, he's got 3 siege tanks. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3 right over there. He still has that Raven flying around as well, just to be obnoxious, but this is honestly one hell of a blue army here. There's a chance he's just gonna roll over this. Okay, he decides to pull the boys right here. SCVs are pulled away from their mineral lines. That tank is gonna end up falling here. The problem here for our player in red is that he's spread very thin. He decides to go after the siege tank on the high ground as well. The medevac's providing that vision. Are there enough Marines in red right now to push all of this back? It looks like eventually there will be, but the siege tanks are still available. Okay, SCVs are... Ooh, well, at least some of them are loaded inside of the medevacs to try and get on out of here, but this is very, very good right now for Maru, who wants to obtain the victory right here, right now. I wonder if he's being a little bit overly aggressive. Another siege tank there in the back does get denied. That gas geyser, once again, man. The gas geysers have been a disaster so far in this game. The boys are once again pulled, and I think this is too much, right? It's not like Maru is sitting on 2 CC on the back of this. He's already been happily mining his 3rd mineral line as well, and whenever you can trade armies like that and get a bunch of SCVs, that is very, very good. Because in the meantime, Maru has got all of this going on, so yeah. A very, very nice increase right there for our player in blue. And 1,800 resources or so a minute more is just a little bit too much. It's gonna be, well, you can defend for a long time in this matchup, but I think that is a little bit too much. ByuN, however, is gonna do ByuN things. He's gonna put about half of his total army inside of a medevac right now. Okay, maybe a little bit less than half, but he's gonna put a chunk of his army inside of a medevac to try and pull a rabbit out of a hat. I like the ambition, don't get me wrong, but this is gonna have to be one of the most successful drops ever. Well, at the very least, it's forcing Maru to come back home, and it's gonna give ByuN a little bit more time to stabilize. The problem is, though, it's not just the army problem right now. It's not just the eco problem either. It's also the upgrades. So, when it comes to, like, the pillars of StarCraft, upgrades are not to be forgotten. And look at the upgrade difference right here for these two, right? So, Maru very far ahead compared to ByuN. Every single one of those Marines will soon deal 1 more damage and take 1 less damage, which doesn't sound like a big difference, but when you're already ahead in every way, that is absolutely amazing. So here we go. Maru once again decides to push very aggressively. He wants to get that tank. Nice little bit of repair micro as well coming out of ByuN. He manages to deal more damage there, though, ByuN that is, than he really was supposed to, so... Yeah, this is certainly Maru saying, yo, I want to win this game right here, right now, as he grabs another medevac over here as well. Those Marines also stand no chance against these Stimpack guys. The only thing I guess you can criticize right here from Maru is that he decided to go for the +2 infantry armor before the attack. But I don't think that really is that big of a deal. Then again, though, ByuN is fighting back. ByuN is actually putting up a battle here. Fort CC, nowhere to be seen. That is because ByuN has decided to essentially go for a 3 command center all-in. He's getting some pretty dang cost-efficient trades here, though. Maru overall still significantly ahead. I just don't see how you're going to be able to defeat Maru when you're behind. That's the tricky part. Maru decides to play it safe, goes into the 3-3 research as well. I don't believe we're going to be seeing a 4th command center here for ByuN, so he'll probably just produce as much as he can out of that, well, triple CC. He can obviously fly this orbital command on over north as well if he wants to, right over there. But I don't think he's planning on really doing much more. So instead he decides to go for a doom drop. He's flying just barely outside of the radar right there. He decides to, okay, only just now be identified right there on the minimap. In the meantime though, Maru, he is sending his entire army across the map. Is there enough right now for the blue Terran player to defend at home? He does have reinforcements coming up. He does have 2 siege tanks over here as well. ByuN decides to start typing in the chat right now. I don't know if that's necessarily the best moment, but he recognizes that there's really no way he's going to be able to win against Maru's massive army. And therefore Maru gets a point on the board. I was wondering when this was going to happen. Dragon Skills is map number 3. And this time around, okay, we have ByuN going for the standard supply depot on top of the high ground. Maru will be doing the same thing as well here moment. Okay, I was gonna say, he'd be very late right now. He decides to plant it right over there. That is a clear indicator that Maru wants this game to end within the next couple of minutes. So, he decides to go for double SCV. And I'm gonna start producing some barracks very close to the main base right here of ByuN. This is basically the entire conversation summed up. Anyways, we're gonna see a second barracks here as well for sure. We might even see a 3rd barracks if Maru is feeling very ambitious. The supply depot over here is just a clear indicator that he doesn't ever want to wall off over here on top of the ramp. And honestly, that kind of signals to me that he does not want this game to go on for any longer than he absolutely needs to. He will probably put all of his eggs in one basket and go for a hyper-aggressive push here. Is ByuN gonna SCV scout? So if he wants to go for a late SCV scout, he would send it right around the time that this barracks finishes. So if this SCV here is gonna be sent across the map... okay, no, he decides to go for the depot over there in the back instead. Well, at least he'll have vision right over here. This is the jump up location. So this is where the Reapers can jetpack straight into the main base. Factory coming up as well. Okay, so it's once again a double gas opener here for ByuN. That isn't, well, at least a pretty good situation to be in, all things considered. If he decided to go for that build that Maru went for in the previous game, everything would be very, very difficult. And honestly, that is as close as a build order loss as you can get. Right now, at least with good control, he can obtain the victory here if he micros his units very, very cleanly. He still doesn't know though. So ByuN is going to go for a CC on the low ground right about right now. We'll probably see him saving up at least 2. Okay, Maru once again posts a little table. Command center? Oh. Well, you know what? He was hoping that his opponent had a command center started here, but that's not quite the case. High ground advantage here in favor of the player in red, of course, which is nice. Both players decide to throw a couple of grenades. Hellion is gonna pop out very, very soon. We may just see both players transition out of this momentarily, actually. No one really has taken significant amounts of damage. It's just that your Stimpack research and all that would be a little bit later. Special occasionally mixing in some Korean characters as well. Okay, fair enough. I don't know why ByuN decided to go for the CC on the low ground here. Why not? Like, you have so much space in your main base. Anyways, apparently the low ground is the place, man. He decides to start target firing down as many things as possible. That is a little bit greedy, though. Okay. This Hellion is looking to clean up all of these Reapers, but there's another one that just freshly popped out of the barracks. That means that this command center on the low ground is so much trouble. Terran players have an obsession with building command centers on location, man. And I understand why, because it does save you a couple seconds. But does it really save you a couple of seconds, though? He's gonna be forced to restart it in the main base if he wants to go from here. Maybe he'll... Okay, never mind. He'll just go for another one on the low ground right here. I think Terran players feel ashamed whenever they have to lift off a command center and fly it to the low ground. I think they probably view that as like a low testosterone move or whatever, man. They don't want to be the beta Terran. They want to make the alpha Terran moves. And the alpha Terran makes command centers on location, damn it. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. But for some reason, it's always the case, man. You gotta be the alpha Terran. That's what you want to do. Anyways, there's a large army available right now for Maru, though. I introduced him as a relatively defensive player, and so far, I mean, he's shown some of that, but yeah, he's got way too much right here. Beautiful control right here, out of our player in blue. GG is called. Maru gets another point on the board. Really, ByuN? So I was fast forwarding through this replay, and then I realized, wait a second, even though there's no SCVs sent towards the other side of the map early on, there's still a cheeky little strategy going on here. So let me get this straight. ByuN is 2-1 behind after his opponent previously decided to go for double proxy Rex. And then in the next game, with his tournament life on the line, he decides to go for a command center first. Okay. Wouldn't be surprised if ByuN has a theory that Maru never goes for 2 proxy barracks in a row, or like 2 games with proxy barracks in a row. Anyways, Maru is gonna find out about this here momentarily, but going for a CC first in this matchup is certainly not the standard. Don't think you should do this on the ladder. Okay, now Maru finds out. Is he gonna... He's gonna have to say something about this, no? We get a lot of laughing emojis. Or laughing characters, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, this of course does mean though that ByuN is gonna have a nice economical boost here. It also does mean though that Maru is gonna have a lot of potential here to deal a lot of damage, so... He's gonna go for the double gas opener this time around, and that does mean that, yeah, ByuN is gonna be with his back against the wall for quite a while. Orbital commands are starting up. Factory is also coming up here for ByuN. Is he gonna need a bunker on the low ground? Don't we need a bunker? No? Okay. Well, I guess he's already gotten away with it, right? We'll have to pay attention right here to the income. For now, it's okay for Maru, but very soon we'll have 2 of those yellow mining machines returning the minerals, and that's exactly what ByuN is aiming for right now. If he can survive with all of this, though, life's gonna be pretty great for him. A bit of a gamble. I don't mind it. Yeah, okay, so we're just rallying SCVs from the low ground into the main base. So again, we could have gone for the command center on... Anyways. They love putting command centers on location, man. Oh, look, it's... Oh, well, no, not quite a dead SCV. I guess in theory, right, that's the reason. We see that a lot in StarCraft 2. In theory, if you open your Excel spreadsheet, you can do the math. And technically speaking, you should be able to go for a CC on location every time without really taking any damage. So if you do everything perfectly, if you don't mess things up, it is the superior choice. Until you realize you're probably, well, at least for most of these guys, other than maybe innovation, but we're not machines, right? We're we're not necessarily perfect. Sorry, hate to call anybody out, but usually in realistic games, man, it's very difficult to play it flawlessly. Losing just a single SCV would already be, yeah, a good enough reason not to go for the CC on the low ground. But anyways, so far, not the case. ByuN has already got 33 workers right now, but he's going to be heavily oversaturating the main base. Just because he can't actually take control of his natural yet. Decides to once again... Oh my god, that's so risky though. Maru has a Cyclone right out there. Anyways, once again, he loads whatever he's got. It's a group of Marines right here together with a Hellion. Just loading whatever he has inside of the plane, and he's gonna go towards the other side of the map. Cyclone in blue available right now too, which is nice I guess, but turns out 2 is a bigger number than 1. Lock-on right now wasted a little bit, but he still is killing SCVs. My question is though, how much damage is gonna be done by that medevac drop? ByuN is going for a very aggressive follow-up here. There is a siege tank available for the player in red, but that one is not gonna be good enough to deal with these units if it's not sieged up. Maru right now forced to drive his entire army back home. 9 SCVs were killed on the side of the player in blue, 4 so far killed on the side of Maru. I don't know why Special is occasionally mixing in a couple letters and characters as well. I'm not... I have no idea. Just to clarify, so this is gonna get cleaned up for sure. Just to clarify, Special is an observer in this game. So the players can't actually read any of the things he's saying. So occasionally he's saying things like GG and he's saying a couple things here and there. But don't know for whom he's saying that. For the other observers, I guess. For us. Anyways, medevac drop continues here. Very ambitious plan, but I think it's gonna be the end of all of that. And that right now is gonna slow down this game a little bit. Well, as soon as his Liberator is dealt with as well. ByuN is going for the most dangerous plays he can come up with. Cutting every corner. The Alpha Terran is not easily persuaded to go back home. You'll love to see it. Okay, so, big picture. Both players ended up taking a whole lot of damage. ByuN's command center, however, was significantly quicker. And even though it's been a bit of a roller coaster as far as the income advantage goes, that's whenever those mules time out, eventually, he does come out of this early game ahead. Now you still have to win the macro game, though. Now you still have to win the macro game against Maru. Where'd that Liberator go? Oh, okay. Whoa. Ah, it is visible on the minimap. Yeah, I did not see that. I was looking at the minimap and I couldn't see the Liberator, but it's right there. You have to look very closely. This is why pro gamers swear by 24-inch monitors. I've got a 27-inch monitor. If my monitor was 24 inches, I would have been able to see it, man. Anyway, we do have the medevac drop in the main base now. ByuN is gonna start piling on the pressure. Settling for maybe 1 supply depot. It might burn down here eventually, losing a little bit. There you go. Pretending to go back home, though. But instead he decides to take the long way back into the main base. A scan right now reveals where that siege tank in red is currently at, so we're gonna settle for the gas geysers. Maybe a couple units, and once again, Maru is forced to go into his own main base. Playing against ByuN must be one of the worst experiences, man. This guy seems so frustrating to play against. Ooh, interference matrix right there on the medevacs. That is cute. That now means that all of these units are gonna get picked off. I kinda like that, actually. I thought he was gonna interference matrix the siege tank for sure, but no. These medevacs, they're gonna have to return back home without their cargo. Yeah, referring to Marines as cargo is maybe a little mean. But anyways. Third command center is done. ByuN, what did you do? You built it in your main base? Wow. That's shameful, man. He had to make the flight of shame all the way from there to there. Imagine that. Now he's late with the orbital command as well. Ay, 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 ay. This is going from bad to worse right now, but eventually he does start it up. Okay. Cyclones here are still driving around, hoping to find those medevacs, but the medevacs don't have any units in them anymore. So, yeah, they were all the way back home. Careful what plane you jump into, Marines. They might just abandon you. Okay, so. Both players trying to just simply build up a bit of an army right now. We're now getting to the point as well where both of them are upgrading, and even though they took a wildly different approaches here in the early game, everything is going to be relatively the same in about a minute or two from now. Eco-wise, slight advantage for ByuN. Upgrade-wise, slight advantage for ByuN as well, and overall he's in a better position. But it's certainly not the end of the world. You can see that, look at the 4th base timings, right? Even though everything's been very different, the timings that these guys have in their heads, even though they haven't seen each other's 4th command center, they're still basically identical. It's kind of fun. I always like seeing that. All the roads eventually do read to they read to Loam. Sure. All the roads read too low. That's the official saying. Matter of fact, drop over here inside the opponent's natural expansion. ByuN trying to deal some damage here. Okay. Okay, he's gonna get it. Upgrades are gonna finish up here as well for Maru, though. Would have been nice to see those denied, I suppose. He decides to land right next to this siege tank. There's a little bit of minimum range, but the tank lives. 1 HP remaining. You know what? That was a really good cleanup right there for Maru. Evening up this game entirely. The SCVs are gonna be tasked with repairing that siege tank back up to full HP. And that makes everything very nice right here for our player in red. He finished up the 4th command center. I would love to see that one flying on over there. Planetary Fortress is coming up right now as well on the right side of the map for Maru. Or, sorry, for ByuN, and Maru just scanned it pretty much right away. Upgrade advantage, though, still nice for ByuN. It's not to be underestimated. I know I hammer on upgrades a lot, but it is a significant advantage, especially if Maru is going to start, well, forgetting or skipping his +2 infantry armor. It will mean that ByuN's units are going to be stronger in just a little while. Oh, hold up. What did he just snipe? He killed something here. What just... The Cyclone? Okay. He didn't get the memo, that Cyclone, okay? The age of the Cyclone was over. The 10-minute mark, that's how long they are supposed to be around for, and any later than that, ByuN doesn't want it anymore. Yeah, you can't blame him. Accidentally misclicking, I'm sure. He definitely did not mean to kill his own Cyclone, but sometimes you gotta make that decision. Okay. We're getting to the point, though, where these armies are gonna have to clash, because both players are just about to max out. Usually the late game transition for Terran versus Terran is that Sky Terran approach. The Ravens are amazing. Liberators are amazing as well. Those units can be incredibly valuable, but so far this game has has mostly been decided by the lower tier units instead. 3-3 coming up here for ByuN right away. He's very on point with that. He's also a little bit ahead right now when it comes to the armory upgrades. So these upgrades specifically, they improve the siege tanks. Okay, Marine push over here. They managed to, well, they managed to get out for the most part, but the siege tanks right there still shot a bunch of shells in their backs. ByuN moving forward. Ooh, siege tank in red, shooting from a distance. These scans are, by the way, crucial, because he needs to shoot those missiles from the tanks at their maximum range. ByuN attacking on the right side of the map as well and grabs 2 of the tanks right away. He's still on the left side of the map too. Interference Matrix trying to shut this down, and their armor missile also being obnoxious. Maru forced to defend multiple fights at once, and he's doing a decent enough job trying to micro everything, but he's not really winning either of these 2 fights all too comfortably. Yeah, the siege tanks on the left still being obnoxious, siege tanks on the right still being obnoxious as well. ByuN is winning 2 fronts at the same time. Historically speaking, never really a great idea, but I guess if you feel confident in your micro abilities and you know exactly where to siege up your units, it can just work out. And this is actually now really, really good right here for ByuN. Securing his advantage in this game. Now the air dominance apparently in favor of Maru as he tries to at least come in. Okay, one of the liberators does go down, but at the very least this will force those siege tanks in blue gone. ByuN should have a lot more reinforcements though. There they are. Yeah, Maru's been using his entire army to try and clean up some of those small groups of blue. But there's a lot more right here for ByuN, and he's apparently now rallying everything on over towards the left side of the map once again. Liberators up in the air since the air superiority is in favor of Maru. That makes it difficult to continue pushing. ByuN is trying to buy as much time as possible for that left fight to go in his favor again. Yep. And this is something I think that Maru has sniffed out right now as well. This is the first time he sees the tanks. Well, he's not even gonna siege up the tanks, ByuN that is. He just snipes both of the command centers. He's gonna continue rolling forward. Siege tanks getting into a pretty good position. Careful though, ByuN. That is a lot of red siege tanks. Okay, those liberators are amazing. Yeah, he needs to get on out of here. Beautiful move right here for Maru. Moving those siege tanks just barely in the right position and really utilizing those liberators beautifully. He snipes both of them. Maru ends up losing the libs, but he should have more coming here on the back of it. Matter of fact, drop in the back of the third base, actually. That is very obnoxious. In the meantime, ByuN has also picked up the pace macro-wise, as he is expanding everywhere, all over the map. Okay, going into the main base right now is he as well. Just trying to be as obnoxious as possible. APM-wise, you can see that Maru is just a little bit slower, and that may very well end up costing him quite a bit. ByuN is starting to outpace him. As the defensive player, you have to stay one step ahead of the aggressor, and so far that really hasn't been the case here. ByuN is starting to pick up the speed, man. He's just going everywhere he can. One Marine pretending to be red. Running on over to the low ground at a siege tank. Okay, they are gonna get sniped. Lowko from the future. 14 minutes and 50 seconds for the thumbnail image. That looked pretty dang epic to me. Anyways, we do have a drop headed on over towards the main base once again. Siege tanks here on the left side are shelling away at the planetary fortress. And this is starting to become a massive issue. Well, it already is a massive issue. ByuN right now 50 supply ahead. His economy has been booming, whereas Maru's, well, it's been blown up, which sounds similar to booming, but it's the exact opposite meaning. Another tank goes down versus just a couple Marines. GG is cold. That means we're going to game number 5. I was wondering about this. Going for a double proxy barracks, and in the next game your opponent goes for a CC first. Is ByuN once again gonna get cheeky here with a command center on the low ground as his very first structure? Well, for his sake and for our sake, I hope not. Because that would mean that this game ends very early on. No, he's gonna go for a barracks on top of the high ground. Very critical. I would love to see that double gas approach once again. Anyways, Maru doesn't want to lose against something like that ever again, so he decides to go for a proxy barracks rather on the other side of the map. Just like we saw him do in the third game of this best of 5. No more chatting, by the way. Alright, suddenly things got a little bit more serious. In every game we've had some banter, but so far apparently not right here on Royal Blood. Let's see. So, he's built them in a very aggressive location. There's a handrail basically everywhere except right over in this location. Apparently the guy's in charge of, I don't know, Royal Blood. Kind of looks like a hotel to me somehow. Anyways, there's a couple of spots where they forgot putting down the handrail, and that's exactly where those Reapers are gonna try and get into the main base. It's a single gas opener right here from ByuN. Maru right now pretending to go for the standard SCV scout as well. Seeing the CC on the low ground though is really all he needs. Depot is gonna be coming up in this location. It should not see far enough, no. So that location right there for Maru is really good, but if he would have put it a little closer, I feel like maybe there was a chance that this could get spotted. Now ByuN is gonna find out though, and he sees the barracks. Reaper on the low ground, being obnoxious. That's the SCV building that command center gone. ByuN now finally decides to let a little bit of emotion shine through. Maru just laughs at him. Marine popped out of the barracks. Good grenade. Okay, yeah. The Reaper's coming in from multiple angles all at once. SCV in blue is gonna get sniped by his own friend, which kind of sucks, but at least it dealt some damage right there to the Marine in red as well. Command center got cancelled. Ooh. The low test command center. Okay, sorry. It's a terrible analogy. But it really does kind of feel that way sometimes, man. He's gonna go for the command center right next to his main command center. Ugh. Reapers end up going down on both sides. That Marine from earlier, still around, still kicking. Still picking up kills. Alright, there you go. Maru! With a question mark. See, I don't need to speak Korean for that one. I get it, I get it. Always important to be toxic to your friends. Look at the planet. Dang. As the aggression gets shut down. Guys, we're busy looking at a planet. If you could please stop that for a second, Maru. Look at the... Ooh. That's kind of pretty, isn't it? Is that the only planet that's visible? Maru decides to post another question mark. Maru, I think it's time to go, my man. Are we gonna fly both of the barracks back? Okay. The flight of shame. Another one. These are gonna be going all the way back home. And what's rough about this is that TVT, it usually pivots on the Stimpack upgrade. Whether or not you can be aggressive, that is, at least. So, Stimpack is not gonna be coming up anytime soon right here for Maru. Main command center, finally, well, the in-main command center at least, finally done right now for ByuN. CC a little bit later right here for Maru, and this certainly is a nice start right here for our player in red, even though he was forced to cancel that, even though he ended up losing a bunch of SCVs. I don't think that's really the end of the world. The command center timing is just so very nice. Having that extra mule available early on really makes a world of difference, and well, you should be able... They have the grand stare down over here, over this one little divot in the middle of the map. That's kind of funny. Anyways, this is also kind of fun here, actually, from Maru. So Maru decides to not just bring those barracks all the way back home, but he's producing Marines in the middle of the map. I love everything about this. If you can grab these 2 units for free, I think that actually brings you all the way back in the game and then some. Yeah, so him waiting on that high ground is actually really cool. So he's gonna continue the Marine aggression from an entirely different point of view. Okay, siege tank on the high ground though. It can shoot over that handrail, so I don't think it really matters. Maru's gonna try and put his siege tank in a location where he can maybe gun down, I don't know. Well, ideally the command center itself. Nice targeting right there by Maru, going after the Cyclone, but the siege tank ends up dying here, so not quite ideal. Gas Geyser right away, also the correct one right there from ByuN. It's a small move, but this one over here would have been exposed. This one over here, apparently out of range. Okay, now these now these barracks, they are going all the way back. I think. They originally were planning on going all the way back. This is gonna be the latest Stimpack ever, but in a game like this, you don't really need Stimpack that early on either. Okay. Matter of fact, drop. If you would have covered the names up, I probably would have assumed this was ByuN playing and the red player was Maru. The way that these guys have been playing these games, at least, it's been Maru who's been very aggressive and ByuN who's been very defensive. Liberator over here, by the way, getting 5 kills as well. Really lovely work there by Maru. At the same time, though, ByuN has brought a couple units towards the other side of the map. Hello, ByuN. I don't think we want to settle for a Gas Geyser, dude. No, that's actually very unfortunate right now for the player in red. Loses a bunch of workers at home and deals basically no damage on the other side. Okay. Yeah, that's not really what you're looking for. That is not really what you're looking for at all. Good advantage right now for Maru, economically speaking at least. Supply-wise, ByuN is still slightly ahead. And in the end, actually, both players are relatively even with the Stimpack upgrade, which is kind of ironic. They're both just very, very late with it. Third CC is gonna finish up right here for ByuN though. Third CC already done for Maru. So economically, yeah, he's gonna start pushing ahead. And so far, I think every single game where we have seen it go the distance, the player that has had the early game economy boost, the early game economy advantage, they're usually the ones that end up winning the game. I think that's actually been the case every game so far. So, Maru, yeah, getting that... So we're now arriving in the mid game, right? Maru right now certainly ahead when it comes to the eco. It's not much, but it certainly does count. It will allow him to go for a larger army later on. Scat in the main base now reveals as well the transition that's coming up. There's always the chance that you're gonna see some Terran mech. Not the case though, as ByuN once again is going bio tank. This time around though, he's bringing 4 siege tanks to the back of his opponent's natural, ready to clean up some of that economy. And army-wise, okay, ByuN is actually in a fantastic position right now. He's bringing a couple of Vikings across the map too. There's one SCV here, but that one will easily get killed as ByuN is going to start hitting that, well, command center itself. Love those Vikings, by the way. So important to make sure you don't have to leave this position too quickly. You want to buy as much time here as possible. There's the interference matrices trying to shut this down. There's no Stimpack yet, apparently, here for Maru. So, I mean, he should have Stimpack. No, he uses it right now, I was going to say. He does use it here in the end, and he is going to, well, clean up all of those tanks in the red, but... That was a pretty expensive set of units to lose. ByuN apparently had rallied everything he had towards the other side as well. He's going to be sending some of that back home, at least to group up again here in the center of the map. Third CC, made in the main base, flying on over towards the low ground. Okay. You gotta be careful here, ByuN. Maru is gonna spot this before it really gets underway. Vikings land on the ground. Auto turret also lands on the ground. Nice pickup control right there, but Maru bringing that low HP siege tank back. Purposefully not sieging that for as long. And he does push back that Terran army. Right now though, worker-wise, ByuN is in a really wonderful position. Supply-wise, he's in a good spot. Army is basically even. But upgrades, yeah, they are a little bit behind. So 1-1 already finished here for Maru. 1-1 about halfway done right here for ByuN. There is no armory yet right here for Maru though, so that means he can't actually go for 2-2. Armory starts up right now for ByuN, but we really should see one here for Maru. If he doesn't start up one very soon, it screams to me that he wants to go for a win here within the next couple of minutes. Okay, now the armory starts up, and that honestly is very, very late. Okay, he's trying to get into a good position. This is, of course, a difficult position to break. Losing the NG base would be a disaster. I don't like the position of those engineering base there at all. I don't know what they're doing there. Oh my god, this is gonna get expensive, ByuN. This is gonna get so expensive. He just lost a whole lot of SCVs there. The upgrade... Oh my god, it finished. But that was very close. Don't know why they were built over there in the first place. That's such a silly position. Anyways. Maru sees it. Decides to grab it. Are we gonna drive back home right now? Nah, I don't think so. Nah, I don't think so. Nope, he pretends to go back home, but instead we're gonna, well, push forward. There's a lot of tanks available, though, for the player in red. One of them eventually gets sniped, but the other two here have been shelling away at that bio army for a while. Maybe Maru has a higher siege tank count, but it's difficult to break this. Okay, he is gonna go back home. ByuN sees this right now as well with that Viking mating dance. But eventually, the army in blue will be deflected. Fourth command center just started up. So both players now going to +2. We should really go armor before, sorry, armor after the attack upgrade, but fair enough. Okay, Stimpack right now activated right here for ByuN as he wants to grab a couple of those tanks as they on siege. Well spotted right here by him. He gets at least a few of them. A little greedy right here with the targeting, maybe? But no, he does get all of the tanks that he was trying to get. Well, that was actually a pretty damn good exchange. Yeah. I mean, a lot of Marines were killed, I suppose, but they ended up killing like 4 siege tanks as well, which is usually not bad at all. Those Marines are relatively replaceable. The siege tanks a whole lot more expensive. Second factory right now coming up here for Maru as well because of it. So he wants to catch up in that siege tank department once again. Okay. Let's see. Let's see where this is gonna go. Matter of fact, drop over here on the left side of the map. There is that missile turret, but it's not done just yet. And that means that mostly reinforcing units here, I guess, are gonna be tasked with defending this. Okay. Sorry, Jimmy. Jimmy! Jimmy's very upset. He didn't get his hot evac there. He didn't get a pickup. A little bit disappointing for him, but at least his crew members are still alive. And even though that doesn't matter for him, it's, well, still kind of nice, right? It's still better than nothing. Okay. Both players securing a 4th base. ByuN is a little bit later on his, however. Maru never actually started up the +2 armor upgrade, which is very noticeable as soon as these fights start happening. Now he goes for it. There you go. But that is about the time that +2 attack finishes up for those bio units. Okay. ByuN sees that there's a group of Marines. Couple of Marines over here as well, going after a supply depot. Despite the siege tank snipes from earlier though, siege tank numbers are even. Liberators are starting to come up from Maru, who's producing a Viking and a Liberator at the same time out of one starport. That always looks a little cursed to me. It's a perfectly fine way to play, but this is the norm, okay? Going for 2 of the same unit. Going for 1, of 2 different gross. Fort CC at this point is done right here for ByuN as well. And in the end, this is actually a very back and forth game where right now things are very even. Maru has found a weakness here. There is a sensor tower, but the sensor tower doesn't spot this army until all the way over here. ByuN, for some reason, decides to go... yeah, he decides to go for an orbital command. I don't like orbital commands very much on 4th base locations. We see this so frequently. This is something that ByuN has been doing quite a bit in his games, where he goes for an orbital command at the 4th. And while, again, on paper, right, if you draw the numbers and you calculate it, I'm sure the 4th base with an orbital command is better. But if you make a mistake, you lose the 4th CC. Now suddenly he's at a massive disadvantage. Now the starport transition is coming up here as well for Maru. He's winning this little marine battle as well, so that means that the SCV that's building the CC again is on a little bit of trouble. In the meantime though, ByuN is going across the map. Sensor Tower project starts up right now. Not entirely sure if that's the best time for it, but ByuN is deciding right now to go into the main base. There's a missile turret over here. Missile turret kills the medevac. That is rough. A lot of these siege tanks also very low. Good target firing right there by Maru, who's really starting to look good here. Yeah, excellent place. Excellent place. Don't do it! Don't do it! Good. The command center count is a problem. The command center count is a huge problem right now for ByuN. Maru simply has a lot more of it. Yep, this fight also, once again, won by the player in blue. And now ByuN finds himself at a significant disadvantage. His old main base. A little carpet was hiding underneath. It's gonna get a nice... a fresh carpet over here on the right side of the map as well at the 3 o'clock position, but... Eco-wise, Maru is securing his 5th base, whereas ByuN is stuck on just triple command center. Maru now also teching up. We already saw additional starports. There they are. And he's going into the fusion core. That's probably primarily not to go into battle cruisers. I know, a little bit disappointing. But he's gonna go into the advanced ballistics research. That said, though, yeah, ByuN is trying to prevent this transition. ByuN also pushing once again over here at the top of the 3rd. That's actually incredibly well done by him. He's now pushing forward here as well. Command center is running low on HP, and Maru gets caught off guard, despite the fact that he built that very ambitious sensor tower. Okay, it is gonna get shut down. Wasn't really serving him much anyways, but... Okay. ByuN trying his best to claw himself back in the game, and that certainly was a start. That fusion core about, well, 3/4 of the way done, but that's about it. Advanced ballistics, by the way, is the Liberator ranged upgrade, so getting that upgrade finished is very, very nice. Here's another medevac drop. Okay. Would love to see a couple medevacs get shut down by a few of those missile turrets, but not gonna happen. Anyways, now he's gonna continue the fusion core production. Maybe he was a little bit late on some of the upgrades, but he's gonna go into the +3 infantry as well. Here comes ByuN again, though. ByuN coming around the right side this time around, and he finds that planetary fortress that Maru just recently secured. The downside, of course, of a planetary fortress, opposed to an orbital, is that it can't fly. So you can't take that thing off. Liberators, though, are meant to be out right here in bigger numbers already, but I think there's already quite a few of them. Yeah, Liberators are incredibly potent at this stage in the game. When you have enough ground army to basically push back anything, the Liberators can put in so much value. But still, ByuN making the best of it. He secured another base. That is the old natural. He secured another mineral line, I guess I should say. And he is bringing, you know what, the income, yeah, closer and closer to the baseline here. There's the Liberator ranged upgrade. That makes them basically out of reach of Marines, and that's why I do like this transition from Maru a lot. Maru is looking at this army and the economy of the opponent, and he realizes there's no way he's gonna be going for that mass Viking Liberator type of style. So if that's the case, and I get Liberator ranged, he can't reach me with just Marines alone. Maru right now, going for a kill right here on the right side of the map too. It's only a small group of Marines, but incredibly obnoxious. Okay, Medevacs decide to unload to try and prevent this group of blue Marines from coming in. Maru at this point, by the way, wants to get rid of some Marines as well so he can add on more Liberators. I don't hate that idea at all. And you can see that at this point, this game is very nicely secured by Maru. He hasn't won it yet, but this is his game to lose at this point. ByuN decides to rebuild some SCVs. So advanced ballistics is done right now, so the next time these Liberators siege up, they're gonna have more range. And they're gonna be needed as well. It's a significant improvement, by the way. Advanced ballistics is a very underrated upgrade by new players. So yeah, it doesn't seem that noticeable, but it really does hurt. Those Marines have to over-stim right there to get underneath those libs and actually gun them down. Look at that one. How in the world are you gonna engage this? If you don't have a decent army yourself, how in the world are you going to engage a Liberator siege tank siege? Like, how in the world are you ever gonna fight that? Planetary Fortress also stays alive. Maru playing this as safely as he can. He does have some army supply caught up on the other side of the map, and, well, those units will end up going down. But he'll replace them. 5 Liberators being produced here at once. Triple Command Center coming up here as well for our player in blue. Maru trying to seal the deal. He's not taking any chances. There's money on the line for this particular match. Oh, and ByuN realizes that as well as he goes for a gigantic Doom drop. One of the Medevacs once again gets shot down by one of the missile turret guys. He's gonna be forced to now recycle and remove his army here towards the main base. Remove? Reposition would be a better way of putting it. This feels like one final hurrah right here. One Hail Mary play from ByuN. All of the Medevacs are gone. Now all of the Marines are gone as well. It's coming once again though with a bunch of reinforcements. Actually a pretty respectable army here. He's gonna find that command center right there at the 9 o'clock position, and well, he should be able to shut this down. That being said, Planetary Fortress is gonna finish up momentarily, so yeah, okay. The reinforcements here are very helpful. Looks like the siege tanks in the meantime got destroyed, but GG is called. As Maru wins the very first weekly of the Korean StarCraft League. He doesn't play in a whole lot of online cups, but whenever he does, Maru is so incredibly strong. Hey, if you made it all the way until the end of this video, please take the 1 second that it takes to hit the like button down below. It really does help. Thank you very much.